Well, as Ronald Reagan used to say, unfortunately, he was a Republican, but the Keystone Cops of the Republican Party were on full display again today. They had their hearing with regard to Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and James Biden's bribery scheme from Communist China, Ukraine, and Russia. And of course, the Democrats threw it all back with allegations of influence peddling by Republicans, including Jared Kushner, the son-in-law of President Trump. The whole thing was muddied waters. The American people are not going to be able to sort through all of this, nor do they even care at this point. The bottom line is that Joe Biden is a criminal, and he needs to be indicted, convicted, and sentenced, just as we have done at Freedom Watch with our citizens' grand juries and citizens' trials. But as I've said many times, the Republicans have no intention of getting rid of Joe Biden. They consider him to be the gift that we'll keep on giving. They hope to run against him in the fall for the presidential election. Well, who knows if we'll survive that long with this clown, this idiot, this fool, and this criminal as the head of our government, if you want to call it that, our so-called government. But it's another example of Republican cowardice. They don't want to move to impeach him. They're worried about that. They're going to do criminal referrals to the Gestapo of a Biden Justice Department with regard to Joe Biden and the rest. Well, you know where that goes. That goes into the trash. So this is the game that's being played with the American people. You're probably getting fundraising emails and letters right and left from the Republicans. Give us money. We need to get rid of Joe Biden. Well, it's a fraud like nearly everything the Republican Party does. It's a shame that President Trump is running as a Republican. He had a great opportunity to start a new political party, but he's thrown his lot with these people, with these court jesters, fools, and otherwise. And in the end, this could cost him the election in November of this year. It's important that you start to really pursue matters through Freedom Watch. We are your true Justice Department. We are the Justice Department of the people. I hope you'll recognize that. And while we're relatively small now, we need to get bigger. We need your campaign contributions, not in terms of political contributions, but our campaign to bring about honesty and justice in this country. Join our Justice League. Get my book, It Takes a Counter-Revolution, Wake Up America. You can also order my prior books, Horrors, Why and How I Came to Fight the Establishment. You can still get it on Amazon. And also It Takes a Revolution, Forget the Scandal Industry, and others. Diaries of a Madman. That's another one of my books, several volume work. Now, I don't have time to write a lot of books. I was able to do this during COVID in the last few years. But right now, we need to rise up. We as a people have our heads on the chopping block like turkeys. And if we sit there and do nothing, then we are just like turkeys. And that's why I keep making this appeal to help Freedom Watch, to join our Justice League, to read my book. It's not enough to read it and then act. Join us to try to save this country. And it's just one other example of the hypocrisy and two-faced nature of the Republican Party. You know, I'm a registered Republican. I just haven't had time to quit. I'd rather criticize them from within. We need more political parties. And we're talking about that in our Third Continental Congress, where we're declaring independence to form a new government and not a new nation. But the latest proposal, in fact, it's coming from President Trump, is an abortion ban, national abortion ban at 15 weeks. That's almost 4 months. Are you telling me that President Trump and the Republican Party are going to support killing babies that are 4 months old? That's despicable. And this is where these people are. You know, they play games. There's no truth. Everything is a half truth. There's no principle. Everything's a half principle. It's just to get votes on both sides of the political aisle. Well, it's time to forget about votes and to do something for this country. It's time for the American people. I hope you'll do it through Freedom Watch, to stick their neck out, to take risks, to do what we have to do, not just for ourselves, but for our children, grandchildren, and future generations, and also for those young people who have to exist in what's increasingly becoming a hellhole in this country. You know, one of the things about so-called democracy, and we don't have democracy here, we're living under a virtual dictatorship by the left, but we've got rampant crime. You know, you look at some of these countries around the world, even China, even Russia, even other countries, you know, that are ruled by dictators, have less crime than we have. The people have to adhere to the law or they're severely punished. And it's about time that we start enforcing the law in this country because we're coming apart at the seams. It's not just persecution by a Biden Gestapo of a Justice Department. It's not just running across the border with drug traffickers, human traffickers, sex traffickers, and terrorists. It's not just a demoralization of our military and a degradation of our military and a foreign policy which is on the verge of nuclear holocaust. It's crime. Crime is making it such that we can't walk out with our kids, grandkids, or anyone, or ourselves, and actually think that we might actually come home, given the way things are. And that's true in nearly all of our major cities: Chicago, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, Minneapolis, Portland, Miami. They've become killing fields. This is what we're living in. And Freedom Watch is going to be dedicating its effort, along with our sister nonprofit, americasheriff.org, in taking action to protect the police, to further police, to allow law enforcement to do its job so we feel safe again. Well, that's my message for today. We have a lot to do. We need to rise up. We cannot depend on a bankrupt Republican Party and a totally evil Democrat Party from the left. The left is trying to destroy us. As I said in the last few days, if Trump wins the election, we can expect the left to try to conduct a bloodbath against conservatives, people of faith, and those who believe in the vision and creation of our founding fathers. We will defend ourselves. We will not start it, but we will finish it. And that's my message. The Father and Son will only help us if we help ourselves. Remember, Jesus was no pushover, believe me. After him, the high priests took an exit stage left, pun intended, and so did the Roman Empire. They were destroyed by the Father. Well, the Father is here to help us, and so is the Son, but we have to help ourselves. I'll be back tomorrow with another special podcast. Until then, thank you for listening to me.